Hey, Jason here from Simply Swider. So if your LG washer is shaking so violently it sounds like a machine gun going off, or it's literally walking across your laundry room floor, don't worry. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it. The good news? Most of these fixes are totally DIY friendly and way cheaper than calling someone like me out. Before we get started, if you run into any questions, jump into our Facebook group. Links in the description. We've got thousands of people helping each other fix their appliances, and I pop in there daily to help out. Alright, let's get into the real breakdown here. Most folks think their motor's shot or the whole machine's destroyed when they hear that jet engine noise. But here's the thing, it's almost never the motor. What we're looking at is usually suspension problems, simple user errors, or installation mistakes. Here's what actually happens. LG washers spin extremely fast, over 1,300 revolutions per minute, to remove water from your clothes. This high-speed spinning puts massive stress on the parts that keep the drum stable. Over time, the lubricating grease dries out and plastic components wear down, which means they can't control the drum's movement during that intense spin cycle. Real-world breakdown, unbalanced loads and leveling issues make up about 65% of cases, worn suspension components hit around 30%, and the rest are installation errors or mechanical failures. Think of it in layers. You've got load distribution, machine stability, suspension damping, and mechanical mounting. The violent shaking will always trace back to one of those layers, so we're going to check the fastest fixes first. So, the most common culprit is an unbalanced load. We're talking about 40% of the cases I see. Here's what happens. The laundry inside isn't distributed evenly, so the center of gravity goes crazy during that high-speed spin. I had this customer last month who called me in a panic because her washer was exploding. Turned out she was washing one heavy bath mat by itself. The machine kept throwing UE or UE error codes, and the cycle would just keep extending as it tried to rebalance over and over. Here's the fix. Open that door and manually redistribute the clothes around the drum. If you're washing bulky items like comforters or bath mats, use the bedding or bulky cycle. It limits the spin speed so the machine doesn't go ballistic. And here's a pro tip. Don't mix heavy stuff like jeans and towels with light stuff like t-shirts in the same load. The machine just can't balance that kind of weight difference. About 25% of the time, the washer just isn't level. I remember this guy who was convinced his floor was weak because his washer was doing this crazy dance across the laundry room. Turns out the leveling legs weren't properly adjusted and the lock nuts had vibrated loose over time. Here's how you check. Push down on the diagonal corners of the washer top. If it rocks back and forth, you've found your problem. Grab a bubble level and check front to back and side to side. The fix is straightforward and takes about 10 minutes. You'll need an adjustable wrench or pliers. Adjust those leveling legs by turning them until all four are firmly touching the floor, then tighten those lock nuts upward against the washer frame to secure them in place. Don't ask me how I know this, but a lot of folks skip tightening those jam nuts and wonder why the problem comes back in a few months. For front loaders that are over 5 years old, worn shock absorbers are a big one, about 15% of cases. These are friction dampers at the bottom of the tub, and they work just like car shocks. Here's what I've learned over the years. The internal friction material wears out, the grease dries up, or those plastic mounting holes get oval shaped from years of stress. I had this lady whose washer sounded like a construction site every time it spun. Here's the test. First, make sure your washer is unplugged for safety. Open the door and firmly push the inner drum down with both hands, then release it. A healthy washer drum should return to center and stop immediately. If it bounces up and down multiple times like a trampoline, your shock absorbers are worn out and need replacement. You might also see oil leaking from the shock or rust dust around the mounting points. The fix is replacing all the shock absorbers, usually 3 or 4 of them, at the same time. You don't want to replace just one because you'll get uneven damping. Top loaders have suspension rods instead of shocks, and these fail about as often as the front load shocks, roughly 15% of cases on machines over 5 years old. These spring-loaded rods hold the tub suspended from the top corners, and the dampening grease or foam sleeves degrade over time. Here's the bounce test.
Support
Open the
brick,
lid and push that tub down hard. If it bounces up and down multiple times like a
lift
pogo
the tub
stick,
up,
your rods are
and
done.
attach the
The tub
bottom of
might
the
also
rod to
sit
the outer
noticeably
tub.
lower than normal. This one customer thought his control board was fried because he kept getting UE errors, but it was just the suspension rods that couldn't keep the tub stable. You'll need to replace the full set of four rods. Re-greasing them is just a temporary patch. This one's embarrassing, but way more common than you'd think, especially on new installations or after moving. Those four heavy bolts on the back of the machine are meant to lock the tub during transport, and if they're still in there, your washer's going to go absolutely nuts on the first spin cycle. The machine will vibrate violently and literally walk across the floor. I've seen folks think their brand new washer is defective when it's just installation oversight. Check the rear panel for those large bolts with rubber stoppers. If they're there, remove all four bolts and plastic spacers with
Careful,
the
the
supplied
first turn
wrench.
may take
And
some
here's a
force
tip:
as the
don't
bolts are
throw those
secured
bolts away.
tightly.
You'll need them if you ever move the washer again. This one's less common, under 5% of cases, but it's serious. The spider arm is that three-pronged aluminum bracket on the back of the inner drum that connects it to the motor shaft. When it fails, you'll hear grinding or crunching noises, and that inner metal basket will wobble independently of the plastic outer tub. Here's the check: spin the drum by hand. It should feel smooth and centered. If it feels rough or lopsided, or if you can wiggle the basket and see the gap between it and the outer tub changing, your spider's cracked. This usually happens from galvanic corrosion between the aluminum spider and stainless steel shaft, made worse by excess detergent use. Unfortunately, this repair requires complete tub disassembly, so it's often more economical to replace the washer. These friction dampers run about 40 to 60 bucks for a complete set compared to 200 to $300 for a service call. The job takes about 45 minutes to an hour and isn't too difficult if you're comfortable removing panels. I'd rate it a 3 out of 5 difficulty-wise, similar to changing a car's air filter. Here's something most people don't know: don't grease these things. They rely on friction to work properly. Also, those plastic mounting holes can oval out over time, so even if the shock itself is okay, you might get play that causes knocking sounds. Always replace them as a complete set. Mixing old and new shocks gives you uneven damping. For top loaders, you're looking at about 40 to 150 bucks depending on whether you buy individual rods or the complete assembly. These are spring loaded with dampening grease, and unlike the front load shocks, these do need that grease to work properly. The factory grease migrates or dries out over time, giving you that pogo stick effect. Replace all four at once. Don't try to save money by just doing the obviously bad ones. If your spider arm is cracked or corroded, you're looking at 150 to 250 bucks just for the part, plus it's a major tear down job. This is definitely service territory unless you're really experienced with appliance repair. The thing is, if your washer needs a spider arm and it's over 10 years old, replacement might make more sense than repair when you factor in labor costs. The Hall sensor that monitors motor speed runs about 20 to 50 bucks, and it's pretty straightforward to replace. You can test these with a multimeter. They should read between 5K and 15K ohms. If you're getting LE error codes or the motor won't reach full speed, this is a likely culprit. Don't let anyone sell you a new motor or control board before checking this little guy first. All right, if you're looking at replacing parts, let's talk about what you're dealing with cost-wise and complexity. The good news is most of these repairs are totally doable for DIY folks, and you'll save a ton compared to service calls. Here's where most people mess up though. They replace parts without properly diagnosing the problem first. Don't just throw parts at it because a shock absorber is cheaper than a spider arm. Do the tests I showed you to figure out exactly what's failed. You can see on the screen right now the most common LG models that deal with these suspension problems. The WT series top loaders are notorious for suspension rod issues, and the WM series front loaders commonly have shock absorber wear. That big WM 9000 with the huge 5.2 cubic foot drum is especially prone to vibration because it only has three shocks trying to control all that mass. Some folks actually upgrade those to five shocks for better stability. That's how you tackle violent shaking in LG washers. Here's your step by step action plan. First, redistribute your laundry load evenly and restart the cycle. If shaking continues, check if your washer rocks when you push the corners. Adjust the leveling legs if needed. Still shaking? Do the bounce test on your drum to check if suspension components need replacement. Remember, 65% of the time it's just load balance or leveling. The quick and free fixes, early warning signs to watch for: light thumping during spin up that wasn't there before, grease or rust around shock mounts, or the tub sitting lower than normal. Catch these problems early, and you're fixing a $50 issue instead of a $500 one. If you guys know someone who's having appliance troubles, please send them the link to this video or a link to my channel where I have tons of other videos showing how to fix pretty common issues with appliances, sometimes for free or as little cost as possible. It sure beats having a repairman come out and spending several hundred for them to fix it when it could be something so simple. If this helped you get your washer working again, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Let me know which fix worked for you. Really helps other people with the same problem. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll get this out to more folks who need to save some time and money. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.